Had the mountain so high, through the tears in your eyes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode and a new program of Islam Changed My Life. Of course, in this program we are having a guest and we ask him some questions about Islam and how did he embrace Islam, what are the difficulties that he faced when embracing Islam, what was or what is his life now and what was his life before Islam and after Islam, and some questions about this issue. But before we have our conversation with our guest for tonight, let's take this report and we'll be right back, so stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Islam Changed My Life on KSA2. First of all, let's say hello to our guest for tonight, Brother Ali. Brother Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's really a pleasure having you on this show.
It's indeed an honor to be here.
Yeah, brother, first of all, let's ask you some questions about living here in Saudi Arabia. How long have you been in Saudi Arabia?
Since 1992, on and off. I first came here in 1992 with my family to Riyadh, and I stayed here with my family from 1992 to 1998. And in 1998, my family moved to Bahrain, and we were in Bahrain for a year. And after that year, I went back to the U.S. from 99 until 2003. I was in the U.S., and then 2003, actually right during the start of the war in Iraq, I returned to Riyadh.
So 1992, it means a long time ago.
Quite a while, yeah.
It seems to me that you know some Arabic language and some Arabic words,
sure.
Or a lot of Arabic words.
Well, you know, being here, you pick it up, and it's important to speak and know Arabic, throughout the Middle East, not just in Saudi Arabia, but, Arabic and Arabic language skills are, an integral part of Islam and also part of the modern Middle East, and, I feel you're better equipped to deal with the day-to-day life as well as religious life, of course, having and knowing, Arabic language, so.
Okay, Brother Ali, maybe the viewers will should hear the question and the answer of this question. How did you embrace Islam, or who was the person who encouraged you to become a Muslim? What are the things that attracted you to become a Muslim?
Well, that's really hard to say, actually. I don't know if anybody actually ever really encouraged me to become a Muslim. Because I came to Saudi Arabia at such a young age, I became interested in...
How old are you at that time?
I was 13. So at that age, I became interested in exploring, Arabian and also, of course, Islamic culture. And in the course of, a desire to know and to learn more about the new environment in which I was living, learning about Islam, came with that. So it's hard to know what. Once I became interested in Islam, then people began to encourage me. But I don't. But I think the results would have been the same with or without other people's encouragement.
So you became interested in Islam since you came here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It means 1993 or 94, something like that.
1992.
1992.
Yeah. And I've been a Muslim now, alhamdulillah, for 17 years.
MashaAllah. And did you face some obstacles, some difficulties at that time when you wanted to become a Muslim?
Well, yes and no. Certainly at the time I was living in a Western-oriented compound in Riyadh, and there is cultural divide that exists between Western culture and Arab Islamic culture. And once I became interested in Islam and essentially became a Muslim, I began to do a little bit of dawah, or outreach to some of the other youth that lived inside of my
Immediately,
house.
once you became a Muslim, you began...
Yeah. And this outreach was caused some problems in the compound, and some of the other children's parents or mothers went and spoke with my mom about, you got to stop Ali from talking to my children about Islam like this. So, but but of course I tried to I still tried to persist about talking to people about Islam, but in a delicate and gentle way, so I wouldn't upset anyone or feel that I was trying to change their children's religion and so on. But
of course. And were there some people back then who tried to prevent you from becoming a Muslim? Did you have these kind of people, whether closest friends or some people around you?
I wouldn't say that anybody ever really tried to prevent me from becoming a Muslim, but there were, we all have conflicts in our lives, and certain people, I had to try to balance, religious and Islamic obligations with my friends and school life, and there was, as a child, there was always points where I wanted to go to pray Asr or to pray Maghrib in the mosque, and my friends would tell me, no, come on, forget it, don't go, we're in the middle of a basketball game, why are you going? No, stay. And so I had to make some of those decisions. But no one ever really said, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is bad, this is a mistake. Most people just helped me to make my own decisions about it. And alhamdulillah, my parents and my father in particular was very supportive in taking me to, for instance, the World Association of Muslim Youth, and attending Islamic lectures and gathering and collecting literature on Islam, which, doing comparative analysis between perhaps Christianity and Islam, or Judaism and Islam, or Hinduism and Islam, just so I could better understand the decision that I was making, and so on.
And Brother Ali, can you mention some changes that have become before, or let's say your life before and after Islam?
Yeah, sure. I think that my life is
the big changes
has changed considerably. As a child, I was brought up as a Protestant Christian, is the family that I came from in the United States. And as a child, we always went to church regularly, 2 to 3 times per week. But I never felt any type of inner connection with the teachings of Christianity, with the teachings of the church. And after becoming a Muslim, I feel a much greater sense of belongingness, and a much stronger sense of belief in Islam, and belief in in Islamic religion. I always felt, prior to becoming a Muslim, I felt a sense of detachment from religion and from God, and I always felt a sense of uncertainty about the religion that I was in. But after Islam, I have an inner sense of gratitude and strength and determination that the decision that I made, alhamdulillah, I believe 100% to be the right one, and I'm very happy with the decision that I made. So I guess the biggest change is a mental and a cognitive change, and yeah.
And I think the most important thing that should be mentioned is some Christians who embrace Islam, they have before some contradictories in the church, some questions inside their head that don't have an answer. So when they became Muslim, let's say 90 or 80% of the questions are answered, and they are happy with the answering. I mean, something that is compensed by themselves. Don't you think that?
Absolutely. One of the things which helped me sort of to make sense of religion and Islam, as when I came into it as a child, and still now, I look at it as a sort of, we have periods of revelation from Allah. So we have a period of the Old Testament, which is found in Judaism and Christianity. Then we have the New Testament, which the Christians use. And then, as I look at it, as the Quran basically was given to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to correct all the mistakes that were in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and sort of to complete and rectify all of the revelations prior to the Quran coming. So I look at it in a sense as an evolution of Allah's message to humanity, and so to me the Quran is the culmination of Allah's message to humankind.
Through your experience, Brother Ali, what are the things that, or the aspects that may encourage people to embrace Islam? I mean, some European, in the European media, or some of the European media, the image of Islam are ruined there. So the people there will take Islam as the source of terrorism, and they have such a bad picture and a bad image about Islam. How can we, as Muslims, correct this image?
Well, I think the best way to correct the image of Islam is to practice Islam in our daily lives. How do we as individuals carry ourselves? What are the ethics that we stand by? How do we interact with other people? Do we show other people kindness, consideration, respect?
To apply what we have learned.
We need to apply our Islamic values and our Islamic beliefs in our everyday interactions with other humans, in our everyday interactions in business or professional life. But I do think that mass communication and mass media have focused on sort of negative aspects, or have tried to paint Islam as a source of terrorism, which is absolutely unfair. However, Islam is absolutely not a source of terrorism, and if we look at modern history, we can see that terrorism did not begin or end with Islam. We can find cases of terrorism all over the world, and they don't necessarily have to do with religion or anything. I just think that mass communication and mass media now tries to paint Islam as somehow the source of modern and contemporary terrorism, when we can easily look and find that problems in Ireland and radical groups in Ireland were guilty of terrorism and large atrocities. So we can easily find examples in modern history of non-Islamic terrorism, and so for the media to try to equate terrorism with Islam is just really wrong in my opinion, and it's up to us as Muslims to portray Islam and to show other people what Islam truly is, a religion of compassion, peace, and intolerance.
And do you think, in your opinion, Brother Ali, do you think that the percentage of people who are embracing Islam from non-Muslim to being a Muslim, do you think that they are raised nowadays?
Do I think they're what?
I mean, the percentage of the new Muslims around the world.
Yeah.
Do you think that the percentage is going to increase or decrease, especially nowadays?
Well, ironically, I think according to the Organization of Islamic Conference, the OIC, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world today, and it's funny to think that when we have such negative publicity coming out of many international media sources, that Islam is the fastest growing. I certainly believe that it is the fastest growing religion in the world today, and I think for good reason. And I think a lot of people are, inshallah, waking up to the fact and the realization that a lot of media outlets have portrayed Islam in a negative light, and they haven't always been factual in their analysis and their critique of Islam. And this has caused a lot of people, I believe, in the West to begin to research Islam on their own.